Hello, everybody. Welcome along. This is the Benjamin Bloom Show for Monday night. We have had wonderfully our first weekend of football. Do make yourself known if you are in the chat. Hit that thumbs up button and get your comments in. We are here to talk today's, and the weekend's football stories. Finally, football is back. First championship weekend done after the Premier League taking its bow on midweek last week. First up, plenty of football still tonight, actually. Remember, the championship are having a midweek off, but the Premier League will keep going. However, we do have playoffs literally as we speak happening. Exeter are leading Colchester at the moment in the League 2 playoff semi-final. And we've got Cheltenham versus Northampton later on. That's their second leg. And Manchester City versus Burnley in the Premier League. So first story is Liverpool have closed in a little bit more, unconvincing in the Premier League yesterday. But Liverpool now 5 points, the maths says, away from being the English champions. So basically, if Manchester City drop points tonight against Burnley, then Liverpool will go into the midweek game at home to Palace on a minimum of a 22-point lead and would be able to amass an unassailable 25-point lead with Man City only having 24 points to play for. Be interested in people's thoughts on maybe a new reign of, Liverpool being champions all over again. Certainly was that way in the late 80s. My first memories of growing up watching football. So I'm sure people would welcome it now, but tends to be that whoever's champions tends to get the underdogs against them, let's just say. However, if Manchester City do win tonight and then they can keep it going at Chelsea on Thursday, we could get a lovely title decider, Manchester City versus Liverpool. I think it is Thursday week where the title could be decided in that game. Up in the Premier League, speaking of the Premier League, a couple more Premier League stories before we get down to the Championship, which I know most people are here to talk about. Newcastle are nearing, apparently. I know we've heard this before many times in this long-going saga of Newcastle, but they are apparently closing in now. Premier League officials have spent the last week assessing the World Trade Organization's report into the illegal streaming of content in Saudi Arabia, with the World Trade Organization concluding that elements within Saudi Arabia had facilitated the illegal stream of the Qatar-based beIN channel, a Saudi-based rival station. So it's rumbling on and on, but we've heard some better things, let's just say. The Saudi regime has made moves to shut down 231 websites illegally streaming sports content, issued a statement that anyone infringing the new rules be subject to a fine of 50 grand, it works out, 250,000 riyads. I'm just looking across here, Exeter going very close in the playoff semi-final going on in League 2. 6 months in imprisonment. So Newcastle getting closer, Saudis making the right noise. Do we welcome the Saudis into the Premier League? I'm sure the Premier League will welcome the money, but do you guys as fans welcome them coming there? Few comments coming in. Oliver says, just does not feel right. Even if we can watch it, and just will not be the same. And the passion you get from going to the pub before an average out to the game. Yeah, I know. Nearly back to normal, isn't it? Look out for Boris's statements tomorrow. I think we're going to get more stuff announced for July, and then we just got to keep an eye on that. Our number, Robin, talking about Norwich. We did Norwich on Friday night, didn't we? as a Norwich fan, for the likes of Aaron's, Cantwell, Buendia, etc., eyeing bigger clubs and contracts now based on which performances, which is quite sad. Baggies Forever asks, who do I think is going up to the Premier League? I'll stick with what I said, Leeds and West Brom to keep those top two places. And I had Forest from way out in the playoffs, but all looked pretty good for Brentford at the weekend, didn't it? Quickly, let's just talk ratings. We spoke in the lockdown quite extensively about what was going to happen with TV. We had our first free-to-air game on the BBC over the weekend. Crystal Palace beating Bournemouth 2-0 on Saturday night. First top-flight English match shown on the BBC Live since 1988. Drew a peak audience of 3.9 million. So I'm sure they're very, very pleased with their ratings. We said it would be a big draw. I don't know if they've got any big games on there. I'm sure Sky and BT already had them wrapped up. But football free to air, it seems a long, long while since that had been the case. Nice to see it, I guess. Paul says, actually been enjoying the Bundesliga more than Premier League games. Watch some Championship games, Paul. There's some pretty good ones in the Championship from what I have seen so far. Speaking of the Championship, this came through at the back end of last week, but we haven't spoken about it yet. And that is the playoff dates have been confirmed. We were doing all kinds of guesswork. We kind of had everything mapped out from, 3 or 4 weeks back now, didn't we? With the little tidbits of information that we were given. But we now know for certain that the Championship playoffs, so the Championship are going to finish the midweek. I think it's like the 21st or the 22nd or something of July, that middle of that week. Well, the playoffs literally going to go bang, bang, bang that weekend, then the following midweek, and then the final at Wembley, which we already knew was going to be on either the 3rd or 4th of August. It's going to be on the 4th of August. So 6th will play third in the Championship. It's going to be on Sunday, 26th July, 6:30. No doubt we will be all over that on this channel. And please do give me your feedback on the coverage we've been doing. It's been pre-match, half-time and post-match. Let me know what you think of that. Been enjoying doing it, but obviously if subscribers want to see it a different way, then we'll give you guys what you want. So it'll be 6th against 3rd. That at the moment would be Preston and Fulham, but Cardiff, Blackburn and Swansea all closing in on that 6th place, weren't they, at the weekend? 5th versus 4th will be the following night, the Monday night, 7:45 kickoff. Then normal sort of turnaround for playoffs. So 6th and 3rd again will go at it for the 3rd place home game. Sorry, I should have mentioned 4th versus 5th would be Forest and Brentford as we speak at the moment. That will be on the Wednesday. 3rd versus 6th will be on the Wednesday, with 4th versus 5th second leg will be on Thursday, the 30th of July. Then the weekend goes, they've got the FA Cup final at some point. God, I can't even keep up with all this football crammed in. 4th of August, the big Wembley final. Who's missing out on a trip to Wembley? Fulham have been there before, haven't they? Forest, got a great history there, haven't they? Preston have been there this century, haven't they? Don't know about Brentford. I assume they've everyone in the whole world apart from Ipswich seems to be they've gone to the new Wembley. But Brentford, that would be a big day for them if they could reach the playoff final. Speaking of Championship, everybody warned me this was going to happen. iFollow crashed within minutes of the football coming back on the Championship. Remember when behind closed doors games were announced, it was said that all the football was going to be on iFollow, and then lots of clubs did lots of deals involving passcodes and vouchers and things of that nature. You had a season ticket, you'd get the home games and some of the away games on iFollow. You could pay 10 quid for a game on iFollow as well. Well, it went down straight away, didn't it? It was restored within 15 minutes, but a lot of fans not very happy with this. Obviously, been waiting for football, paid their money, got their vouchers all sorted, got their means of watching it all figured out, and down it went. EFL did apologise. They said we unfortunately experienced a small disruption at the start of today's 3 p.m. fixtures that affected approximately 8 clubs. The issue was a result of an overload on servers at our streaming partners. Pass that back to me. Who resolved the matter within 15 minutes of kickoff. Huddersfield were affected. Their chief exec, Mark Devlin, commented on it. They're going to await confirmation, of what will be done to ensure this service works for the rest of the season. I'm sure I said compensation. Maybe that will be something they talk about if their paying customers don't get the service that they are paying for. All 108 remaining matches of the Championship season, including those being shown by EFL broadcast partner Sky Sports, have been available to stream on iFollow or a club's equivalent service while supporters are unable to get into grounds. Let's hope that all figures itself out. Noel, championing the channel, like the vid, chaps. He says, yes, please hit that thumbs up button. That'd be wonderful. As it says across the bottom as well, you can donate to the channel if you hit a super chat. 4 weeks of work left for me. And you can help out even more in my pursuits to make this more financially viable by subscribing on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Adam Nee says, Brentford's most successful period came during the 30s when it achieved 3 consecutive top 6 finishes in the top flight. So they have been up there, says Adam and Eve. Paul says, I'm so convinced that the Premier will suck the Championship into Premier League 2, leaving everyone else slowly to die. I hope not. We all hope that a Premier League 2 will actually improve things, not make it worse. But there is a chance that they ring-fence all the money. Oliver says, to be honest, I don't want to go up. If we go up, supporters will not be there, which will be the biggest day in the club's history. That's from a Millwall point of view, I believe. Noel says, Dean Smith is off his head, by the way. He said that Chelsea were lucky on the day, talking Villa here. What a muppet. Not my words, Noel. And the world beater, Jack, was very quiet, you think, against the good side. Nat is enjoying a custard cream. He has not had one in years. The halcyon days of custard cream. More amusing, well, not amusing if you're a Hull fan, more embarrassing moments coming out of Hull. The Athletic were going to run one of their kind of juicy insight pieces on Hull. The Athletic journalist, Adam somebody, I don't know quite who, I'm sure someone will let me know in the comments or in the chat, sent a lovely email into Hull, which they got quite annoyed about, and they've decided to publish. So if you go on Hull's website, you can see this email. Basically, the journalist is asking Hull to sort of confirm a lot of information, such as the names of the players who were not going to remain: Lehigh, Kingsley, Irvine and Madison. That all broke last week, didn't it? Our understanding is that these players turned up for training to be informed by manager Grant McCann they would henceforth not be part of the first team group. In Lehigh's case, the defender had a 1-year contract option, but the club insisted he must reduce his salary by almost. There's a lot of juicy stuff blacked out here. Adam Nee says, oh, is it Adam Pope, is it? He's the Leeds guy, isn't he? That would make sense. Up in Yorkshire. All sorts of good stuff in here. Doesn't bode too well. Lots of kind of inflammatory stuff about the alarms. I won't read all of it, but the latest in a long line of kind of PR faux pas by the alarms at Hull. Go and check that out on the Hull website. And one more light-hearted one, and then we will do some questions if we have any, if everyone's not too fed up of football already. Jude Bellingham's mum managed to find her way into the West Brom Birmingham game. Obviously, Jude is 16, so he doesn't have a driver's license. Was driven by his mum to the Hawthorns. Birmingham told their players to drive to the Hawthorns for a championship fixture. Bellingham obviously couldn't do it. had to get his mum to give him a lift. When news spread to the board, one member decided to hand over their space rather than have Jude Bellingham's mother sitting in the car park. Pretty strong suggestions now that Jude Bellingham to Borussia Dortmund is going to be done for 20 million quid. I would assume there'd be add-ons in that because I'm sure Birmingham fans will want a bit more than that. But looks like Jude Bellingham to Borussia Dortmund is the way this is going to happen. That's pretty much the weekend's stories. If you've got any questions in, do get them in the chat now. Obviously, playoffs happening as we speak, and Manchester City going against Burnley later on tonight, and I'm sure Monday Night Football will cover a lot of this stuff. Noel says, Everton v Liverpool was awful last night. Do you know what? I had to give that one a swerve. Having done, I did a Friday night game, then I did Brentford and Fulham, then I did Cardiff and Leeds. I was done after 3 games in 3 days, so I couldn't bring myself to do another one. But as we said at the top of the show, Liverpool closing in on being the new English champions there. Oliver says, how much longer can clubs survive without fans? Only a couple of clubs said they're in terrible, what is like 3 months now. I think you might have missed a word there, Oliver, but that makes sense to me. How much longer can clubs survive? Not very long, obviously. Everything is pushing in society now to get things back. I would have thought if it's going to be announced that restaurants are going to announce it tomorrow, hairdressers and restaurants, July the 4th with social distancing, and in a big, huge, massive football stadium with thousands and thousands of seats, they can start to get people in. Obviously, it's going to be reduced attendances first, but I think literally the second they can get people in there, and obviously we're looking at that R number very, very carefully. Jaggy says, love to see more Brits going abroad. Never used to happen. No, it used to be very rare. You'd see Chris Waddle or Paul Gascoigne or Paul Elliott or David Platt or someone going to Italy, or France. Waddle went in the 90s. Not many. I think if I'm Jude Bellingham, I'm looking at Jadon Sancho's example and how a good sort of breeding ground Borussia Dortmund is, and you're going to play with some very, very good players there, and presumably push your value in your career very nicely. Jaggy adds, don't think I've watched a decent game since lockdown ended. I've enjoyed it. Fulham Brentford was good. I've done, God, how many have I done now? I've done 4 or 5. Sheffield United Villa died away. That wasn't great. Norwich and Southampton, that got into a bit of a freak show in the second half, didn't it? But the Fulham game and the Leeds game, I thought were pretty decent. I enjoyed them. Nat says, plus it's the business around the grounds too. Yeah, there are some businesses that really, if there's no football, there is no business there, particularly sort of away pubs and things in that nature, really, really going to be struggling. Robert, sad that Bellingham might not play for Blues next season on loan. You think if he goes to Germany, he's going to be in the team and playing regularly. That's, I suppose, the difference. Slight little lowering in standard from, say, a top Premier League club. But look, it's going to be good for Birmingham. And 2 summers running now, cashing in on Adams and Bellingham, so they can keep that conveyor belt going. Nat, Waddle is my favourite player of all time. He's got Sheffield Wednesday badge there. I think there's quite a few Wednesday fans with a similar opinion there. Chris Waddle, when he came back to Sheffield Wednesday, was a joke, wasn't he? Literally assisted every single one of their goals, didn't he? Rod says, no matter how much cash you have, football is still rubbish. And have you noticed how many players are spitting on the pitch? Surely they were told not to consider the pandemic. They were told not to. I think we're getting to the point with the pandemic where when people consider themselves in a safe space, they just go back to normal. I mean, my work, we've had bubbles. I only come into contact with 9 people a day. And frankly, it does feel safe because I see the same 9 people, and I have done for 4 weeks now. I think people just revert to the norm. Obviously, if nobody's got coronavirus, you can spit and you know put your bodily sweat and fluids all over anyone. No one will catch it if no one's got it. And the idea is that testing is so strong in football that that's the case. That said, whether your view is that spitting is necessary, then that's a different matter, isn't it? But Jaggy says, I didn't enjoy the Leeds game. No, probably not. It was a good watch from the neutrals' point of view. Adam and Eve says, it is what it is. We just have to go with it. Won't be any crowds this season. No, not this season. But next, they are going to be working on it. Jaggy says, thoughts on the drinks breaks. Adam and Eve says, I hate the drinks breaks. No need. If anyone could tell me a sensible medical reason why they need to have the drinks breaks, then the only one of which I could think would be for dehydration. Which doesn't seem to be the case. Obviously, if it's hot, then drinks breaks are vital, and we often see them in friendlies. I don't know that they're necessary. I get the idea that the Premier League are doing everything they can. I mean, what's the point if everyone in the ground's been had a test, had the temperature taken, and has got their bio passport on their phone? What's the point sitting 3 seats apart? But I think there's a little bit of signalling going on to say to the world, look, we're doing the right thing here. But yes, I take the point. They do stop the flow of everything. Oliver says, we'll at least have Millwall, West Ham next season. Yeah, West Ham not looking good, neither are Bournemouth. Rod seems to agree with me. Drinks breaks just slow it down. Are they really necessary? I don't think they're vital, are they? But again, that seems to be some kind of signalling, doesn't it? Andrew asked, how surprised would you be if the top two swap with Brentford and Fulham, especially as the top four play each other on the weekend? I'd be extremely surprised. I've said all along I've been banging the drum for West Brom and Leeds to stay where they are, other people too far back. I keep saying stranger things have happened in the Championship. But, I'd be surprised if there was even a chase. But the results went in the direction of a chase, didn't they, this past weekend? If they both win, then we'll all start to get a little bit more interested, won't we? Fulham have got a hard old run-in, won't they? Noel, if you want to drink, go down like Grealish and grab a swiff. Yes, Jack's not covered himself in glory, has he? I blame cricket for drinks breaks. Yes, cricket has a lot to speak of, doesn't it? Right. Thank you very much. So let's have a look here. Would you ever go to Millwall, West Ham, or would you avoid it? No way. I'd love to go to Millwall, West Ham. Obviously, I would sit in the homestand in the nice seats and keep my powder dry. But I'd love to see it. Not saying I want to see West Ham go down. I think it'd be nice to have some West Ham fans here on the channel. I think we've got a couple actually who do come in and out of the chats. But yes, I'd love to see it for the atmosphere, and they would certainly fill that away end, wouldn't they? Adam and Eve adds on that. Hope Karen Brady is in the Championship next season. So thank you everybody for joining here. Little catch up this evening. Get your comments in on any of those stories we have discussed today. Enjoy Colchester and Exeter. Enjoy Cheltenham or Northampton. I doubt they'll get very many viewers up against Manchester City on the other channel, but enjoy it if you are watching. If there is enough news tomorrow to have a bash, another update, we'll go for that. The plan is, however, to look at Sheffield United, Manchester United in the midweek. As ever, if you can find it within your heart and you want to, please subscribe on Patreon. If you want to see my Championship review from yesterday, that's already up. Went up about 6 o'clock on a live stream yesterday, so you can check that out. In the meantime, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, super chat if you want to donate via YouTube, and Patreon we've already plugged. Twitter at Benjamin Bloom, Instagram, all the plugs, and depending on how much news we get, I may see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Comments in. See you all very soon. Over and out.